So today I want to talk about a new concept that came across my desk, so to speak, came through the email system from a psychotherapist who I have studied with for off and on for a number of years, but who I admire greatly. Her name is Heidi Schleifer, and she does workshops with her husband. And she's done a couple of TED Talks, maybe one TED Talk, which was really very well done. And she's a very deep and spiritual person. They're both Israeli, and she suffered from breast cancer a number of years ago, and her husband suffered from a very deep and profound depression. Maybe 3 years ago, from which she's recovered. So she talks about something called kintsugi, which I had never heard of before. Do you know that term? Mm-hmm. So it's a practice of repairing beautiful broken objects, and the process of repairing them makes them even more beautiful. They are repaired with gold or silver kind of glue, and it's a work of art really to repair them and restore them in a way that makes them even more beautiful in their brokenness. And I thought, well, that's a wonderful metaphor, because we are all broken and imperfect in so many ways. And we struggle to hide our brokenness and to defend against our imperfections. So I thought that it would be really good as part of our New Year's to really look hard at our broken places and our healing and our imperfections and our vulnerability. So in the process of preparing this, I Googled kintsugi to see what showed up, and a web page by somebody named Kenitha Stanton came up, and she has a whole website on the practice of kintsugi as a metaphor for our lives. And so I wanted to ask you to take a moment to think about your own broken places. We all have places of brokenness. And we also have experiences of healing. And in that healing process, there is gold. We become so much deeper. We become so much more compassionate when we actually experience our brokenness without trying to change it. Not that it's not good to heal, but without trying to hide it so much, without trying to pretend that it's not there. So in doing this myself, I realized Kenitha suggested that we look at what we've done in the way of healing our brokenness in the last year. But I realized that a year is not anywhere near long enough to really see the healing that's taken place. We need to look much longer. So if I look at some of my own brokenness, there was the brokenness of my first marriage, and the healing that came out of that was the great lessons I learned about being married. I was very young, 20, had a baby, and I thought I knew how to live my life. I thought I knew what I was doing. Didn't really think I had the capacity to make big mistakes. But this was a huge mistake. It's a huge mistake. So having to look at that really squarely and see what a big mistake it was gold. It was gold. Something dropped away in my recognizing that I had made a big mistake. And also that I hadn't been such a great wife. I really had just focused on how he wasn't such a great husband. So, a lot of lessons, golden lessons in that disruption. Another huge broken part was in my spiritual journey. I had a break with an important teacher. It was really a very important relationship for me. But it didn't work out. We weren't well matched. We weren't suited. But I was simply heartbroken. Mm-hmm. Really heartbroken. But the lessons from that were so deep. What I learned was that the real teacher was within me. That I had to listen to myself. I had to trust myself. I had projected all of my spiritual longing onto him, with the expectation that he was going to take me by the hand and lead me through this trip. It's definitely a trip. But what I discovered was I had to do it myself. I had to discern what was right for me, not follow somebody else's direction. And that was gold. That was gold. Learning to trust myself was precious. It's really the most important part, the deepest part of our journey. Recognizing that we know within us what the way is. It's not that we don't need teachers. We do need teachers. We need someone to help us when we get stuck. We need someone sometimes to pull the rug out from under us. But the deepest journey, the deepest teacher is within us. So the other part of kintsugi, if I'm saying it right. Does that sound right to you? Kojo speaks Japanese. Is about our imperfections. This journey is about becoming human, dropping off our false personas, our pretenses, our desire to be perfect on the outside. And recognizing that we can't keep that up. It's way too much work. It's way too much work. So for instance, one of the things that was bothering me this morning were the flowers that were kind of dead. I kept thinking, nobody will notice. No, I was noticing. And I like to have the flowers look fresh and sparkly, and I like them there to serve the Buddha. And of course, having dead flowers on the altar reflects poorly on me as the temple priest. But I was sick, I couldn't quite get to it. And then I actually forgot about it until I came down this morning and went, oh, I didn't get flowers. So that's an imperfection that I would like to cover up. But when we share our imperfections and don't try so much to hide them, we reveal our own vulnerability. And being vulnerable is so important. We connect to each other through our vulnerability. that's where we meet. We don't meet when we're all encrusted with a false persona of perfection. There's no way to connect. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I make an effort to be vulnerable when I give talks. It's always hard to find the right line, because you really don't want to hear about all of my stuff. But being vulnerable, certainly in a group or on a one-on-one basis, is so important. Because otherwise there's no true connection, there's no intimacy. And intimacy is the gold. It's the gold. It's through our connection with each other that we begin to recognize that interconnection we have with the universe. We really experience that we are not alone, that we are not isolated, that we are one, that we are one with the universe, we're one with the stars and the moon and the sun, we're one with the earth. And when we live from this place of oneness, we want to take care of it. We want to take care of each other. We want to take care of the earth. We want to take care of our relationships, especially the difficult ones. So it starts with accepting our own vulnerabilities. By beginning to accept our own vulnerabilities, we can accept others and their vulnerabilities. All the things that annoy us in others are clues to what we're pushing away from ourselves. If we are annoyed by the judgments of others, it's our own judgments of ourselves that we really have to look at. If we're being made crazy by people at work, we have to really look at what it is that's making us crazy. Is it some hidden expectation of ourselves that we're holding? What are these expectations of always looking good, always having it right? It's so, it's such an opening when you can say, I messed up, or I screwed up, or I don't know. It creates so much spaciousness. It's so easy for somebody to accept. But when you defend against those little imperfections of being human, when you pretend that you didn't mess up, the situations always get worse. So this journey is about being human. It's about accepting our human nature just as it is. Suzuki Roshi said that you're already perfect just as you are, but you can always use a little improvement. So I think that's a pretty good statement, because the improvement is mostly about letting go, shedding, and accepting. So I invite you to just take a moment to think about your own journey, your brokenness, your vulnerabilities, the hidden places, the shame. The experience of shame is always a clue to a broken place, or to a place that needs compassion. it's painful and scary to allow yourself to experience it. But there's gold in that. So just take a moment to explore your own feelings about this topic and see what comes up and how much you're willing to share. And we'll turn off the video.